All right, welcome everybody to the third episode of Fuel Cap. This week we are live with Jordan Farrell from Monster Motoring.
What's up?
So I met Jordan while I was doing a photo shoot for a buddy of mine, Matt, and he was like, "Hey, I got this guy Jordan who's coming along. Hope that's cool." And I was like, "Sure, whatever, I don't care." And it turns out you run a pretty big page and do some pretty cool stuff. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and what you do with Monster Motoring?
Yeah, well, basically, Monster. I started. Well, let's actually start from all the way beginning. So I started this page called Teen Boost back in 2017. Um, very late 2017, and I was basing it around at a Mustang EcoBoost. Um, First official new car that I had. I'm just like, I want to see what I can do to the car. That people that have this car can't really do for themselves. Um, so started taking pictures of it, post online, seeing if there's any audience at all that could that want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Within the first 3 months, I had 3,000 followers. Um, After that, I just started growing more and more. So I'm like, all right, well, if it's gonna start expanding like this, I want to bring more people onto it. I want to reach a bigger audience.
Yeah.
So I rebranded it from Teen Boost to Monster Motoring. I brought on 4 other people, and it's been running fine ever since.
Cool. And so now your car is the EcoBoost Mustang, and then everyone else has their own project that they have for the channel.
So yeah, the initial idea was to have each of us have our own camera, our own project, and it would almost be as if like it's a Monster Motoring is a channel, and there's different shows on the channel. So if you want to see this, it'd be this. See this, it'd be this.
Okay, that's cool.
That way, yeah, that way there would be no lack of content or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the main thing we are gonna do was we bought a 1990 Miata, and our plan was to swap the motor, um, give it 700 horsepower, make it all-wheel drive, fully carbon, all that, make it a track monster. And we got so invested in that,
Right.
in addition to everything else, that content almost like creating content almost took a backseat. So
Yeah. No,
it's more,
that happens.
yeah, it's more behind the scenes than I ever thought it'd be. I never knew how much behind the scenes stuff it would be. Um, I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much, but you never really know with it. So
Mm-hmm.
this time, like over the past 8 months or so, I've been just seeing how efficient I can get it to get a post out a week, Instagram posts every day, just to keep up with myself, and addition to keep people updated with what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And I saw recently you got those custom taillights for the Miata.
Yeah,
Those are pretty
there
rad.
was that was actually I forgot who made it. It was someone made a render of a Miata. It was a speedster. Um, it was green. It had these really cool taillights at that, just the outlines on them.
Mm-hmm.
So I put out like a feeler post. I'm like, does anyone know anyone that can create these? And so many people sent me different people that do lights and stuff. But we ended up going with a company out of the country actually, and working with them, we've come up with 3 really cool ideas based around that, that we're actually going to start selling soon. So
Oh, sweet.
it's, yeah.
Yeah, I just pulled up the video you posted of them right here so the viewers could see.
Mm.
So how long did those take to go from rendering to like actual like in the car?
Um, well, if I'm not mistaken, I initially found the guy November, December last year, and working with him, we went from just having the outline of the taillights to actually having like patterns in the middle, having actual show mode around it,
Yeah.
having it RGB instead of just red or orange. So I think it took around maybe 3 or 4 months just to do the designs of it, and then
Wow.
he does all the heavy lifting for,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you were coming up with the design, did you also come up with the way the sequential lights would work, like how the blinker would be stylized and the hazards would be stylized as well, or was that kind of all?
Yeah, that was all up to him. I mean, so I went based off his past work, and it's just incredible what he does. And I'm just like, go crazy, do it,
Yeah.
do what you do best. So
Yeah, no, those are pretty sweet. I'd does he do any RX-8 lights? Because that's actually
he
something
does
I
all
want to do.
custom work.
Does he?
He
Okay,
does,
all right.
yeah. So if you want it, if you want lights, I can send him to you, or
Yeah, no, that'd be sweet. Because I eventually that's something I want to do. I've seen some pretty cool custom lights on other RX-8s, and then
mhm.
I go on and they're like the one I saw that I really loved was like $2,000, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
They get
they get
expensive.
pricey, so I definitely want to get a feel around, see what I want to do. I don't want to do. A lot of people do the basic. So the stock ones are it's like a circle towards the inside of the
Mm,
body, and then it like kind of there's the lines that come out from it, and there's just another bulb to the left of
okay.
like the big circle, and then what most other people do, because this is the taillight style they did when they updated the body style, was it's just two circles in the lens, like next to each
Yeah, I
other.
think I know what you're talking about.
So a lot of people do that, and like it looks dope, but if I want to do something, I don't want to do something everyone else did, you know?
Completely understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, why don't you talk a little bit about the EcoBoost? What's anything done with that? Bigger turbo? Anything crazy or?
So the eco, it's been a journey with that car.
Mhm.
Everything's broken on it but the motor, which is ridiculous.
Okay.
I've blown a turbo catastrophically, like wheel out the compressor wheel out my exhaust.
Oh man.
Um, I've blown
Is there
so
is
many
there footage?
calories.
Is there footage of that?
No,
Oh man, really?
it's nuts. It's all the stuff that happened with that. I never really recorded that because I only started making content with the Mustang
Hmm.
um recently,
Okay.
whereas it's been doing well, but I never really thought people want to see it competing with the other builds.
Yeah.
So but yeah, there's it's been that there on the stock tune. I blew up my catalytic converter twice.
Mhm.
Um, when I installed the Ford Performance tune on it, the catalytic converter actually it like exploded the
Yeah.
whole housing.
Wow.
Um, my trans has disintegrated. Um, they it's like that's a truck trans too. That's not like a just regular
Oh.
car trans. That's an
Okay.
F-150 transmission. Um, I I broke in both axles, snapped the drive shaft. Um,
And
that's
that's all from just an ECU tune. Not no
yeah,
like.
ECU tune, downpipe, exhaust, and intake. That's it.
That's incredible.
So
It's funny because like the stigma around like EcoBoost Mustangs is like, oh, like who wants that? It's not a real Mustang. I mean the
yeah,
V6s too, but like everyone wants the GT, the V8, and then I've been following you for a little bit, and I see you with the EcoBoost. I'm like, this thing's kind of rad. Like
yeah.
it's not what I thought. When you hear EcoBoost, you don't think of something that's gonna blow the turbo apart, blow the catalytic
Mhm.
converter apart, and destroy a transmission, but an
That's
ECU
exactly
tune,
what
that's
I
it.
thought that I had it. Like I got the car not knowing it was for me. I thought it was for my mom. Um, so my dad tells me to go test drive it. I test drive. I'm like, it's a nice car. It's a 4-cylinder Mustang. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next day he's like, all right, this is your car. Because initially my first car was a '69 Corvette. It's side
No
pipe,
way.
600 horsepower, four speed.
That's my girlfriend's dream car. So that's a
It
pretty
was
awesome
a
first
wide
car.
body.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. And it worked perfectly for I know 2 weeks. Um, the motor, so it was a 7.6 liter V8. No,
Mhm.
it was poured over. Um, and it would overheat in 20 seconds. So we had to put Audi RS4 fans in it,
Really?
which is 3 fans. Um, and we'd have to turn it on immediately. If you wait 5 seconds after it starts, and it overheat.
That's
So
wild. Why
yeah,
was
it
that?
was fun. What?
Why was that? Was that just like there was
They
something
just
wrong?
run hot.
Oh, do they?
Those motors run hot.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't
yeah,
realize. I figured you like most older cars run a little hotter than new cars, but I didn't think it
yeah.
ran that hot.
The thing was like it was like a grenade. Whenever like, you didn't wait for that, you couldn't drive it at all. So
Wow.
yeah, that was supposed to be. I got that for my birthday the year before that. I took the whole year of getting it running.
Hmm.
And then I got the Mustang to save gas because there's no way that car's gonna be a daily.
Right.
Um, but yeah, the Mustang ended up doing something completely different. So
And then the Corvette, where is that now? Or the Camaro, I mean.
no, it's the Corvette. So
Oh, but it's funny
yeah,
because my friend just got a Corvette, but he had a Camaro before. So I was talking to him, and like like Corvette Camaro, they kind of get tossed around, especially when you have both. So.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So what happened was the reason why I say it ran perfectly for 2 weeks. Um, I think 2 weeks after 4th of July, I was going down the road, maybe 100 feet from my house. I passed the light, and I did a pull in second gear. Um, I broke the tires loose, and then I caught grip, and then I heard snap. So
Uh-oh.
like I looked out the back, I looked out my mirror, and I see my left wheel is cambered,
Oh.
which that's not supposed to happen. So I'm like, all right, that's not good. Let me turn around. At that point, I turned around in the middle of the road. No power steering, so I had to do a 3-point turn,
Yeah.
um, manhandle my steering wheel, and then um, I heard two more snaps. So like, all right, I don't know what that is. I just pulled over on the side of the road, got out, heard another snap, looked in the back. Nearly all of my studs were just gone. They're broke. Like they just
What?
snapped.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I don't know I think it's just like old age of the studs that caused it to snap. But
Uh,
after that, I was like, there is no way I'm driving this thing again. Because like at the time, I didn't know anything about cars. Um, I was just like, oh, this is a cool car. I'm gonna learn how to drive manual. That's it.
mhm.
So I didn't know how to fix it. I called AAA to tow it 100 feet back to my house and put it in my driveway. Um, and just left it there. It couldn't roll up my driveway because it was broken. So it just stayed there for a couple months. I ended up getting someone to come to my house to get it fixed.
Mhm.
I was just like, I don't want to drive it again. So I ended up selling it December that year, I think December 15th. And
Wow.
I missed it ever since. So
Yeah, that's a hard one to get rid of. But now you got another muscle car. So
yeah, yeah,
is that kind of because you in the channel you have a diverse lineup of cars. So
yeah.
it depends how much you
Um,
want to consider the EcoBoost a muscle car. I know it's pretty crazy,
I
but like four-cylinder turbo
nah,
isn't what you think of as a muscle car.
nah. So yeah, within my family now, I have 2015 Charger Scat Pack, the 392,
Mhm.
um, and just recently finished restoring a 1969 Chevelle.
Ooh.
That was supposed to be a replacement for the Corvette.
Mhm.
Um, it's not the same. I can tell you that. It doesn't have the same wow factor to it. Almost like the power is not as there as before. It's an automatic instead of it's a power glide instead of a manual.
Okay.
Um, and it just the sheer size of it, it's huge. So um,
Yeah.
love looking at it, but it's terrible to drive.
In what
Yeah.
way? Just compared to the Corvette, it's terrible, or just
So
overall, it's clunky.
we ended up getting that car. That car used to be a drag car, and for all you watching, you never want to get a drag car and convert to a street car. Just don't do it. Too much money. What ended up happening was it had no rear sway bars. It basically had ladder bars chassis. It had basically no suspension in the back. It had air cups over the suspension just so it wouldn't wheelie.
Mhm.
But trying to convert that over, like the motor chassis to the point we had to get it, and it's just too much. It only goes in a straight line. You can't take any corners with it. So
Yeah, like it's like once you go a certain route with a car, especially to turn it into a drag car, there's really no going back. It's
Huh? Yep.
it's just not even. It's almost not worth it to like undo all of that.
Yep. It's completely not worth it. Not at all.
But it's got a cool story behind it. I mean, if that's all you get, then I think
Yeah.
that's pretty neat still.
Yeah. I mean, I love how it looks. We made the gray that's on it, and like looking at it from different angles, and almost looks like all completely different colors at different angles. So it's great to look at it, take it to a couple different shows and just cruise around with it.
Yeah, that's cool. So along with the EcoBoost and the Miata, there is also a Lexus.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I picked that up the day before Christmas. I found it the December 23rd,
Mhm.
and then December 24th brought the money. I got it, and the guy was just like he was like, it just needs a O-ring seal for the front timing cover, replace the coils um for the motor, and other than that, just body work, because he said his girlfriend took a bat to it.
Oh,
So I got it for extra cheap. So
damn.
I I'm just like, all right, this would be a perfect project. Quick, I can go and swap a 2J inside, like a GT motor in it, a 1J, and just manual, enjoy it for a couple months, sell it for a profit.
Right.
That's not how it turned out. um, so I drove it up to my garage and started tearing it down, looking inside, and oil leaks galore. Um, the oil was leaking from like three different places, and after research, I came to find out the motor that's in it, the 2J, is not the one that you want. So I'm just like, what did I do?
Yeah.
But we started tearing down that motor. We're gonna pull it out, and our idea is to, well, actually, we're in the process of getting a Ford Barra from Australia, inline six, and we're planning to be the first ones to put that in the IS and attach a 10-speed from a Mustang inside. So,
Okay. This looks pretty crazy. I have it up on Instagram right now.
mm,
This thing is gonna put down some power. It looks like.
yeah. So Barras from Australia, they say they can run 700 stock motor without doing anything to them.
Wow.
Um, so we just happened to, my videographer, or actually my editor, he was at Texas 2K this year,
Hmm.
and he talked to this guy. He set up one of the booths there, and he's like, "Hey, we're doing a Bear and a Lexus," and the guy's like, "Hey, I want to be a part of it. When you get the motor, send me over one of the pistons. I'll make a forge one."
Oh wow.
So this is it's going to be making a lot more power than we thought,
That's gonna be
and
ridiculous.
it's gonna take a little bit longer than we thought as well. So we're doing like a half built motor almost.
Hmm.
So
That's incredible. So
yeah,
what kind of garage, like what kind of facilities you have to do something like this? Because this takes like everything you need to pull an engine to do all that. So you must have a pretty big
yeah.
space.
Yeah, so I have a space. It was so weird. I found this space on Craigslist, and it was on a farm. The first picture I saw of it was a horse in front of it, so I'm just like, all right, this is a little bit sketchy. Um, and then I went to go check out the garage at first, and it was like the first snowstorm of the year.
Yeah.
I think it was back in November, I think it was, and went up there on a Sunday, just went to go check it out, and it's a huge space, but it was completely crowded. Like there, insulation inside, wood beams lying all over, dust all over, and just water coming inside, and I'm just like, this is gonna be a project in itself. So I'm just like, the guy gave me a good deal with it. I'm just like, let's just take it. Whatever happens in the future happens. It's not losing too much money.
Hmm.
And coming from that, just having the idea to make it almost like um, a studio where you can do work on cars is just, I ran with that. put lights on it, ground on there. We've just been accumulating tools with it.
Hmm.
So by the time that the bearer comes in like 2 3 weeks, we're gonna be ready for it. We already have engine hoist, engine stand, all that's coming. So
Nice,
yeah,
nice. That's definitely exciting. You got a workload ahead of you, but
yeah.
I think it'll be worth it once it's finished.
Oh yeah, it definitely will.
Any plans to take it to any shows? Like ship it out to
Oh
like
yeah.
SEMA or something? I don't know if it's a SEMA worthy build, but
So our idea, we've been in contact with a couple of companies about going to SEMA.
okay.
And it's been for a couple different projects. With that, I don't know if that's gonna make it out there, but it's definitely gonna get some notoriety with around here because
Sure.
it's gonna be wide body. It's gonna be wrapped in a new wrap that hasn't even come out yet.
Oh
Um,
wow.
we have wheel sponsors, tire sponsor. It's just all over. So they all have, um, they believe in us. So we're just doing what we're supposed to do.
That's neat. So where do you like? How do you go about getting to this point where you have the sponsors and you have the space and like the money to do all this? Like, where does that begin?
Um, Honestly, like it's such like a funny point because I'm a regular guy. Like I you see me driving down the street, I'm driving down in a black Mustang. You don't suspect anything of it. It doesn't really catch your eye. It's just like a regular car.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just the way that you market yourself. You got to be able to, you know, make people see the value in what you want to do.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the biggest part of it. Um, and the way I started out, like I started asking companies for sponsorships as soon as had my Mustang. I'm like, I think the first company I emailed was Mishimoto, and I'm like, this is what I want to do with my car. I want to show people how to mod this car. Um, Show kids almost because it's mostly first cars for people
Hmm.
that they're getting EcoBoost with.
Yeah.
So they they saw my vision, they sponsored me, and from there just take that same template, revise it, run it over, and just keep expanding it.
Wow.
So
Yeah, and you have a pretty. So I asked you earlier today, like how you describe monster motoring in a sentence, and I just loved what you said. It was very like bold and like very clear. You had a vision, like it was really obvious, and it was monster motoring was built on the idea that we wanted to bring the focus of car culture back to the East Coast by pushing the boundaries of what people think are possible within cars, and that just like that's awesome to me, because like
mm,
honestly, like all the big YouTubers and stuff, they're all on the West Coast. You know, the East
exactly.
Coast scene doesn't really have that much of a presence anymore. So that's awesome that you want to be that presence and kind of bring that back.
Mm. Yeah, it was actually um another driving force between monster motoring and like me was, so I work for a company called Throttle. I don't know if you heard of them. They're based out in California. They're associated with TJ Hunt. Um, and I became a brand ambassador for them as soon as I got my Mustang. I actually beta tested their site um, before they released, and from there, I got in touch with the owners of it, and I moved up the ranks. I was a brand ambassador manager. I still am. Um, and I saw exactly what they were doing. They're giving away cars over in California. They're doing all this events. They're building cars. I'm like, I want to do that. So I told them, I'm like, let's do an East Coast throttle. Call it Throttle East Coast. But then they're like, you really think that you guys can succeed on your own? We want you guys to make a name for yourselves. Um, so if you see on our intro on our video, it'll have our little animation pop up, but in the bottom right, it will say powered by Throttle.
Yes, I noticed
Uh,
that.
yeah, so that's our whole idea. Everyone involved in Monster Motoring are Throttle brand ambassadors.
Okay.
So um, we kind of we like our current build right now is it's completely Throttle parts from their marketplace.
Okay.
So um, it's like the best way to bring it over here. Let everybody know, hey, we're doing this from Throttle. They're supporting us in a way that we're able to do the best we can to build cars. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from with that.
Cool. And so how did you like? You just kind of hit them up from the start, and
No, so actually back in 2015, 2016, they advertised themselves as it's almost like a all-in-one classified, so like a Craigslist but for car parts,
okay.
and for cars. So you the people go on the website, list up their car parts, list up their cars, they'll put it there, and then the site would also pull listings off of Craigslist, eBay, for all different forums. So like, if you're looking for intake for a BMW M3, it would go to like bimmerworld.com and pull the listing off that site, bring it onto their site, and you'd be able to directly find it right there.
Oh wow. So
So it,
that reminds me a little bit of like Auto Tempest.
yeah,
If you're familiar
yes,
with
yeah, it's almost the same exact concept, except Auto Temps is selling.
that. Cars.
Well, they're yeah, yeah. Um, but recently they moved to new parts. So they have amazing discounts. They have a VIP program where you pay $9 a month and you get discounts off of every single part. You have discounts off of actual places like AutoZone. You can
Oh
go
wow. Okay.
like Domino's, Papa John's, or whatever. Like they have discounts for
Seriously?
everything. It pays for itself. It's
That's funny.
it's for everything. So it's easily one of the most like I don't even need to say it, like it pays for itself with his first purchase. So
Mm-hmm. No, that's dope.
yeah.
I've heard of Throttle, but I've never heard about Throttle. So that's
Mhm.
actually I'm gonna have to after the show I'm gonna have to take a deeper look into this. This is pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, even with their VIP program, they go and you get entries every month to win the car that they're building.
Mhm.
So right now they're doing a WRX STI hatch.
Yeah.
And at anything that you buy on the website, you get entries. Anything that you pay for, basically, you get entries into winning that,
Mhm.
and that's a big thing. So
Yeah, those car giveaways seem to be popping up. I remember a couple of years ago I started seeing the ads for 8080, and at first I like wasn't paying attention. I was like, oh, like this can't be real. And then 8080 always post when like the people like the winners will come pick the car up and they do like the follow ups. Like they'd post pictures of their car back in their home state or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is pretty legit. And then I guess either they hired him or he just started doing more of their media. But Stefan Lewis is their current media guy, and he makes some really really dope videos, and
yeah,
that's really what caught my attention. And by that point, I think like Tuner Colt and there's some other ones that started doing the car giveaways too. But Stefan Lewis, he makes the best content I've seen for the car giveaways, and that just really caught my eye. So ever since then, I've been paying attention to all these other car giveaways popping up, and they're all starting to do like there's a lot of common themes with like buy the merch and then like the type of content that they're producing. So it's definitely a big thing. So I don't know how long this trend is gonna be lasting for, but I think it's
I
dope
don't
that you
know.
have the chance to win a whole car, and then most of them do cash on top of it, which
Yeah,
is really cool.
yeah, it's a big thing going on right now. I mean, I don't know where the next thing is gonna be in terms of that, but
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, but it's really cool that you have the chance to do it. So
Yeah, no, and especially like they're all like cool cars. Like I'd be happy with any one of them
oh yeah.
for the most part. Yeah, no, that's neat. But so how long has Monster? Well, was it Team Boost first?
Yeah, it was Teen Boost.
So when did that begin? Like how long ago?
Teen Boost officially it came out beginning of 2018.
Okay. So it's relatively a young thing.
Yeah,
And then it
it's
became monster motoring how much later than that?
it would be, let me see, what's the year? Yeah, so it'd be like December of 2018 would be when it started to change over.
Okay.
We came up with the idea in July of that year, and from that it was just like find a logo. What do we want to do with this? What are we going to do with this? And then start changing everything over.
All right. So I'm trying to pull up. I got some questions here that I posted earlier.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's see. Are there any? I want to see if there's any related just to you first. No, it doesn't look like there's any specific to you. But okay. Before we move on to the questions, I just want to ask: are there any future projects that you have planned, or any like plans for the other cars? Because I know you have. You're talking about the Lexus, so that seems like a pretty big endeavor right now.
So one big problem that I have myself is that I'm never satisfied. So everyone that knows me knows that I've had a lot of cars within a short period of time, because I get bored.
Yeah.
It's really terrible because money's involved, but yeah. So I have projects that I've had planned for year and a half, 2 years now. We've had an idea to do an all-wheel drive two-rotor mini,
Ooh.
like a classic one.
Okay.
We've had the idea to do a Coyote swapped 70 Camaro with a supercharger.
Mm.
So it's up in the air what's going to be next
Yeah.
until it just happens. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool though. That's definitely just kind of follow your own thing. Don't think too much about it, and you know everything will work
I
out.
will say the only real big thing that we have planned right now, that's definitely for the future is, so we're working with Texas Speed on doing a 427 full built motor inside the Mustang.
Okay.
So can't speak too much on that because of contractual agreements, but that's pretty much what's going to be. That will be at SEMA.
Ooh. Okay.
Not this year, but the year after. But yeah.
That's exciting. I'm definitely gonna have to do a once that's further along and you can talk about it. I'm gonna have to do a follow up with you.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But all right, let's get to these questions real quick. All right, so we got one. What's the craziest car you've seen in person? Where was it, and what was your reaction? For me, craziest car I've seen in person. There's a couple. One of them. So when I think of cars in person, I usually think cars like out in the wild at a car meet or something. But the craziest car I have seen was at the New York Auto Show, which was it was in the Brembo booth. They had a booth right when you first walk in, and they had two Pagani Huayras there. And those cars, that's like my ultimate dream car. I know they don't get talked about too much, but I just think they're so exotic looking and they just sound gnarly. So that's definitely probably the craziest car I've seen. And I was just like drooling all over it, walking around it. But then as for craziest car in like real life, would probably be... It would have to be, I guess, a McLaren 720S. I saw that at a not a Cars and Coffee. It was like a little photo shoot session over at some park nearby, and yeah, it was all posted up, and everyone was taking pictures of it. So that was pretty cool getting to see it, and the guy was actually driving it, so I got to hear it as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what about you?
I'd say for me, well, within like a show environment, I'd say also at the auto show they had the Koenigsegg Jesko there.
I must have missed that. What
Whatever the
year was
new one
that?
is. It's I think it had to be last year.
Was
Um,
it?
but
Oh,
I think so. It was I think it's like silver, but that it just looked fast. like all their cars look fast, but that looks extra fast.
extra fast. I like that.
But I'd say out in the wild, let me see. I took almost like a car pilgrimage back in 2017.
Mhm.
Um, in August, I went to Switzerland, well, almost like Europe. Um, and there was there was a guy driving. What was it? It was the AMG GTR. But whatever one hasn't come out yet, it still had camouflage on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't. It was so loud, but I can't like. I took pictures of it, but like I can't really think of what it had on. It had a huge wing, canners on the front, but like you're just driving around the roads in Germany.
But it still had the
Um,
camo on. That's pretty cool. So I've never seen a camo car before, like going out for testing or whatever.
we actually so we drove from Switzerland to Italy to Germany and back to Switzerland. Um, so
Whoa, talk
yeah,
about that. Yeah, I want
it
to hear about that.
it,
That's
it was
awesome.
yes, it was a really quickly planned trip.
Okay.
Um, so we went to Switzerland. We picked up the rental car. Um, it was like a Peugeot hatch or whatever. It had to be manual.
Persian.
So we stayed in Switzerland for like a day, I think, and then we took off driving to Italy. And we were thinking like Italy's gonna be the most, that's gonna be the place that we want to stay.
Hmm.
Um, but we went to Milan, and it's not what I thought. Um, we went to Alfa Romeo Museum, and that's pretty much all car related. That's in Milan.
Yeah.
Um, I had no clue. So then we stayed there for 3 days, and then for the last day and a half, we went to Germany, and we took a tour of the AMG factory.
Okay.
So we went there, took the whole tour, went to see how they build the motors and everything. And
Oh, wow.
as we're leaving the design studio. These two test mules come out, and there's a Ferrari behind one of them. So I know they had to be doing some type of testing. But what really caught me is how loud it was. Like I've never heard a Mercedes that loud before.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's sweet. Did you hop on the Autobahn at all since you were over in Germany?
Oh yeah. We sure
So
did.
I just my mind just can't wrap around the fact that there is a highway with no speed limit. So what's that like? Like is it scary to drive on? Like are people actually driving
It's
like as fast as they want or not really?
Oh yeah, it's everyone driving as fast as they want, but it's not just like a full highway where there's no speed limit. You can just go floor it.
Mhm.
There's some parts that are restricted in terms of speed limit. So I think it's 120 kilometers. They restrict you down to, and then it'll have a unrestricted zone, and you got to use the maps to know which one is, because they'll catch you if you're
Oh yeah.
speeding another one.
Wow.
But we went about 114 miles an hour, is as fast as this diesel hatch will go. And this thing, it felt like it was about to fly. Like it literally felt like the front was about to lift up in the air.
Oh, that's so funny.
And we're passing, we're just barely passing like a semi truck, like just barely.
So a
And
whole
then we
semi
see,
truck is going
oh
that
yeah,
fast. Wow.
yes, very much so. They were at least 120 at their top. Like they were just cruising. But there was a point where there's this Audi convertible, this really small Audi convertible, coming up, and it's coming up fast. So like we get over, and it just like passed us, like we're not even moving.
That's nuts.
It's crazy how fast like anything is.
So I mean, it sounds scary. Is it? Does it feel unsafe?
It doesn't feel unsafe because the people around you know how to drive,
Hmm.
and everyone else is basically at your speed. Well, if you're going above 120, everyone else is at your speed.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's like a surreal experience almost. I just wish that I could take one of my cars there just to experience it
That's the
for
dream.
real. Yeah. So
Um, what was I gonna ask? I was gonna say, so when you go on the autobahn, like a lot of people over here in like America, they're like, oh, I would just want to go to the autobahn and bring my car there and just go as fast as I want. But people like it's a real highway. People use it to like travel, right?
oh yeah, yeah.
So how, based off of the cars you saw and the way they were driving, what percentage of people would you say were driving on the autobahn for fun slash driving on it for like a real like to get somewhere?
There was I can almost confirm there's no one driving there for fun.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you go up and people are just straight face just passing you. It's just it.
Okay.
Like
So
it's the
did you
amount of
drive?
driving.
Did you drive on it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I sure did.
Mhm.
But it just happened that that was the way to go to the Airbnb, and that was the way to get out the country. So
Oh, okay. So
we just
it was partially for fun, partially because that was the way.
yeah,
Okay.
that was the fastest way, anyways.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As fast as the car can go, right?
Yep, yep.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to take a trip out there eventually. I've always wanted to ship my car over, but the RX-8, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna blow up if I push it
Oh
too
god,
much. You know,
that
the apex seals are fragile. What I do want to do eventually, I've been looking into it, was I want to get a 13V from an RX-7, which I mean like
mm,
everyone wants to do that, but I really want to do it as well. And it's funny because when I bought the RX-8, I bought it with the intention I'm gonna drive it with the rotary until the apex seals inevitably have to be replaced. Then I'm gonna swap an LS in, and like there's a website. It's literally called lsrx8.com, and
oh,
they sell like the harness for it, the kit, like everything. You could literally buy the transmission and everything. So I
mm,
was like gonna do that, and then I bought the RX-8, and I was like, rotaries are pretty sweet. So I kind of fell in love with the whole rotary idea, and I think if I am gonna do anything, it's gonna be 13B turbo. But
those
we'll
those
see.
are good motors.
No, they are they just need the proper love and care, and
Yeah.
just they have to be driven hard. They need to be, otherwise just all the carbon buildup.
Hmm. Yep.
So that's a good thing because I like to drive hard, and the car wants me to drive it hard. So we're made for each other, I guess.
Pretty much. Yeah.
The next question is least favorite cars to work on. Also, your favorite cars to work on. Which models and brands? Okay, so the person who asked this is my friend Ori, and he has a 2012 Jeep Patriot. And I can tell you right now, and I don't know if he's watching right now. I can't see who's watching, but that is one of my least favorite cars to work on, and one of my least favorite cars in general. Um, it's just not built right. Oh, let's put it that way.
Mm.
Um, Out of all the cars I've worked on, I'd say that's probably the one that had the most stupid things that broke and the most stupid ways that they had to be fixed. I did the throttle body on that, and it's an electronic throttle body, and it's actually, which is weird. I wasn't really familiar with the engine layout, but it's actually located in the front of the engine between like the fan and then like the engine itself. So it was like really tight to get down in there, and you had to take the battery out. You had to take like a bunch of other stuff out. My hands were small enough to actually take it out, but most of the time you have to actually take off one of the coolant hoses, which means draining your coolant and then having to fill that back up, which is just annoying. But
Yeah.
I was able to finesse it out without doing that. But before I did it, I looked up other videos how to do it, and almost every video I watched, they also had to take that coolant hose out. But I was able to not. What else did I do on that? I did a wheel bearing on that. And so the funny thing about Chrysler is if you order a part, you'll get the wrong part the first time. Mainly for wheel bearings. I don't know how their part numbers work. If there's like if they're just too similar, but
Oh yeah, they are.
yeah, he's not the first person this happened to. There on the forum he was reading, this happened to like everybody who did a wheel bearing, which was they ordered the wheel bearing, and it came, except it was for like a Dodge Avenger or something, and then they had to send it back, and then they got the right part afterwards. But like, it just seems to be like too common of an issue for the wrong part to get sent the first time, so just not fun to work on.
Yeah, I feel that.
The next part of that was the favorite car to work on. I don't know. Favorite car. I don't think if you have to work on any car, you're necessarily gonna like it. If it's like something you're doing aftermarket, I guess you might like it. But
Yeah.
In general, I enjoyed working on my Integra when I had that because that was easy to work on. I didn't do a lot to it though, so I can't really say that I had a full taste of what it is like to work on that. That wasn't too bad though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say hands down my least favorite car to work on. I had a 2010 BMW M3 convertible, and I must say it never gave me any electronics problems, which is
That's lucky.
crazy. Yeah, but the motor was replaced twice.
By you.
No, not by
Okay.
definitely not by me.
Okay.
Definitely not by me. So here's the craziness that happened with this car. So I got it, and it had 40,000 miles on it. Lowest amount of miles I've seen on a car that old. I got it in 2018. So 8 years old, 40,000 miles. I'm like, this car, no way it was abused. Like, it had no problems wrong with it. And it said we went through the logs, never had a launch control done. It never went past 90% throttle. Like it, I'm like, this must be perfect. This is gonna be a perfect car. Keep it for, I don't know, 3 years or so. Little did I know, after 2 months, oil ran out.
Ooh.
Okay. We did the maintenance. We had maintenance done on it before it left. So like I just thought it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks later, oil low light again. And then the car doesn't have a dipstick. So
Oh, that's right.
it's not like you can check it.
Yeah.
So I'll just, went, and this oil is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's 0W40, I think it is. It's a really weird oil. They call it unicorn blood when we went to the dealership. They're like, we can't even find it. Yeah. So after about 2 weeks, it went out again, and the car started losing power. So I take it back, and they keep telling me there's nothing wrong with the car, and I'm like, that's impossible. So after a couple back and forth attempts of taking it back, getting a loaner car, coming back, we called B&W of North America. They sent an engineer from Germany with a suitcase full of tools to check out the car himself. So that car was out for a month.
That's crazy.
And they're like, if we find something wrong with the car, we'll pay for it, no problem. Because we're paying like $200, $300 in oil change every single time, every 2 weeks, basically.
Wait, so at whose expense did the engineer from Germany come?
It was supposed to be at B&W's, like B&W corporate. So he came, tore down the car, put it back together. They're like, all right, you can come pick up your car. They're like, all right, did you finally see what's wrong with it? No, we couldn't find anything wrong. This is the bill.
Oh my gosh.
So pay for travel bills, pay for wasting the guy's time, basically. And we're like, there's no way there's nothing wrong with this car. So eventually it just, the last time we had maintenance on it, put it to sit in the driveway. And eventually when the summer came, we went to CarMax, and well, actually I took it up to CarMax in Pennsylvania, I'm just like, what can you give me for the car? And they gave me, I think it was, let me see. So we paid nearly $60,000 for the car because of the low mileage and like the lack of wear.
Yeah.
Ended up selling it for about 15,000.
Oh, that's a
This is over
huge
1 year.
loss.
This is 1 year.
Oh
So
man.
it was actually worth less than my Mustang that I bought for 19,000 3 years prior. So
That's man.
uh, yeah, sold it. The last time I brought a friend up with me just to have someone with me as I was driving there. I'm like, all right, let me just do launch control last time, and it has a dual clutch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I did it in the parking lot. I'm just like, I just want to see how much power it has. Did launch control, and it stalled. Like with launch control, it's supposed to drop the clutch.
Yeah.
It was making, it wasn't making enough power to be able to launch it. It just stalled. So it dropped the clutch. It just died in the parking lot. I'm just like, all right, limp it to wherever parking space is going. Give me the money or whatever. Let me pay off the balance of it, and let me just take an Uber back home.
Yeah.
So that thing was gone.
Jeez.
I think the problem was that I got one with too low mileage, which sounds crazy.
That does sound crazy. I would love
Most
to know
people,
the explanation behind that.
yeah. So apparently, a big thing with those engines are they're kind of like rotaries where you have to drive them hard. They rev up to like 8,200 RPM, and if you
Oh,
don't do it,
they
the
go that
carbon
high.
will start.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It sounds nuts. It sounds like a NASCAR. You did a full straight pipe on it when I had it, and
Mm-hmm.
it was loud. But if you don't rev it up that high and you don't put it in any of the M modes, it'll just start building up. I think what happened was the rod bearings, because
Mm.
that's a typical thing to go wrong with it. Um,
Okay.
but the engineer didn't find anything, as far as I know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's always gonna be a mystery. I do in the future. I I do like the motor and like how the power comes in.
Yeah.
Um, I I just had the thought to do let's swap that motor to something. I don't know into what,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like how the power comes in and everything. But that car was just terrible for me. Yeah,
That sounds like
best
an
car
absolute
I ever
nightmare.
worked in though is the Miata, hands down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I everything's easy in that car. You can see everything. So
You know, that actually slipped my mind. My friend has a Miata, and we had to replace the rear subframe, and that was, I was like, oh, we have to take the whole rear end apart, drop everything. Dude, so easy. I was just like, this is like, we're done. Like that was it. That slipped my mind. But yeah. Is there anything specific that made you enjoy it the best, or just overall the easiest car?
it's the easiest car that I've worked on so far. The only thing is that so when I got my Miata initially, I got it and I picked it up in the dark, which you should never do.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
I picked it up and I wasn't gonna register it just yet, so I got a U-Haul, drove it on the U-Haul trailer, dropped it off at my friend's house, and I left it there for a while. I'm just like, start the car in the morning, see if anything's wrong with it. I saw pictures of it, started fine, drove on the trailer fine,
Mhm.
no problem. After that, day after, battery is dead. Not a big deal, just give it a charge. Suppose, like, I guess I left the light on.
Yeah.
Gave it a charge, still wouldn't start. Uh, so went and we're like, okay, we're gonna put a huge battery booster on it.
Hmm.
Started it, and there was like it was a sound of just bearing. I don't know what from,
Oh.
um, but it was just bearing sounds galore. So we're like, all right, it can't be the motor because the motor is good and like it's revving freely.
Hmm.
Um, so it's got to be the water pump, the alternator. Um, yeah, I think those are like the only two things that have bearings in it within the Miata.
Yeah.
Um, so we're like, all right, let's buy an alternator. Went to Planet Miata in Pennsylvania, picked up an alternator, and then I took a stop by one of the other people on Monster Motoring's house. he had a bunch of turbo parts for it. Evo 10 turbo, Evo 10 intercooler, 1000cc injectors, because we were planning to go all out with it. Picked it up, took it there, replaced the alternator. It just so happened with our luck that alternator was bad too.
Are you serious? So it was the alternator.
It was the alternator.
Okay.
So we're just like, I don't know what to do anymore, because we replaced the water pump and it's still making all the sounds. So we're like, all right, I'm just gonna order one more alternator. I'm gonna pay like $100 for it from AutoZone and get a lifetime warranty. Replaced it, completely fine. And then after that, maybe a day after, it started sounding like a Subaru. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me at this point. So it was cutting spark. So changed the spark plugs. Just so happened that we put spark plugs too strong for the motor. So
that's possible.
Now, yeah, I didn't know it was possible, but apparently it is. So we're like, all right, so maybe there's not enough fuel to compensate for the spark. So, I went and bought another set of spark plugs.
Okay.
Changed it back, just completely OEM spark plugs. It worked fine, and then the engine started sputtering. I'm just like, at this point, I'm gonna throw away the ECU. I'm gonna buy a standalone. So I bought a standalone ECU and I tuned it myself, and it worked from there. Drove it around, and then after that, connecting everything, I sent it back up to one of my other guys, and that's where it is right now, being turboed.
Okay.
So turbo sticking out the hood because the manifold is a little bit too high.
I like that. That's cool.
Wastegate is also out the hood. So yeah, it's a little bit ignorant, but it's wide body. It has
You're gonna get
full
really
track arrow.
Really loud.
Oh yeah. 85,000cc injectors, 450 Walboro pump. Like it's everything that we could possibly put on that car. That's not for that car at all. So
I love it. That's my style. All right. Well,
that's fun.
Yeah. So we're almost at an hour. So that's a pretty good show. But I'm gonna start wrapping things up here. Is there anything that you'd like to plug? Obviously, you have your Instagram and your YouTube.
I mean, I have my Instagram. It's Monster Motoring. Same thing for YouTube, Monster Motoring. We sell merch. We do photo shoots, video shoots. It's on monstermotoring.com. So,
all right, yeah, everybody check that out. And actually, you can't see it, but everyone who's watching the live stream right now, I started for this episode. I just started doing a lower ticker, like a news ticker, and it has your handle for Instagram and your YouTube. I didn't put your site actually, but when I update the description, I'll make sure to put that. But yeah, thanks for being on the show, and everybody make sure to check him out because Monster Motoring has some pretty awesome stuff planned. If you haven't been paying attention, pay attention to them now. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
All right, thank you.